You know who I am?
Anything you say. Anything you say.
It's official.
What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Thomas back again with another rendition of Truth Be Told. Now this week there wasn't really much going on again in the news as far as political wise. Nothing major that I seen except for, they're coming down on Biden pretty hard over the whole mandate thing. It is determined that it's been blocked by the courts because it is unconstitutional, which isn't surprising. They've been doing this illegitimate administration has been doing a lot of unconstitutional things, and they've been getting away with them. But apparently it's fixing to stop. They're pushing back now. I don't see this administration going the full 4 years. I think something's going to happen and it's all going to flip on them, the Democrats and the far left. We'll see. With that being said, let's get right on to your reviews. The first thing I want to talk about, I just got done watching the movie Venom, the sequel, There Will Be Carnage. The first movie was okay. I like Tom Hardy as an actor. He's a decent actor. Like I said, the first movie was okay, except for, they completely changed the entire story. They left out Spider-Man is the reason why Venom became Venom. But that's a whole different ball game, and I've talked about it in an earlier video. In this one, again, they kind of ignore all the resource material. Everything that happened in this movie did not happen in the comics. They completely, again, changed the entire story. And of course, they're going to say that the reason why is because it's an alternate universe, blah blah blah, because we already know that with the new Spider-Man they're doing the whole multiverse thing. So that's their reasoning why they changed the entire story. In this sequel, he's having a hard time controlling Venom, and they kind of get in an argument, and they separate for a little while, but then they got to come back because Cassidy, which is played by Woody Harrelson, a serial killer, he gets a hold of his own symbiote, which is the offspring of Venom, and it's kind of like his son. And he escapes his prison to go after his supposed wife, which they don't explain, but she's some kind of mutant herself, so she's got powers herself. She calls herself Shriek because she's got Banshee powers. If you remember Banshee from the X-Men, you know, it's a sonic power, you know, just scream and sonic waves. Very powerful sonic waves. Anyways, he escapes. Tom Hardy's got to find Venom, locate Venom. He calls in his ex to do this. She brings Venom back to him, and then they go after Carnage. Now, there's also a detective throughout this whole thing who gets involved. He supposedly shot Cassidy's wife, the black woman, Shriek, and put out one of her eyes. So he's involved in this as well. Anyways, towards the end, Venom, of course, kills Cassidy, chops off his head, or chomps, you know, eats his head. That's his thing now, supposedly. He likes to eat everyone's heads. And then he turns around and eats Carnage. Now, apparently, every time there's an offspring of one of the symbiotes, the offspring is always much more powerful than its predecessor. So supposedly he was supposed to have a hard time fighting Carnage. Now in the comics, this is here where it gets way off. In the comics, Carnage has quite a number of offspring. He usually kills them off pretty quickly, but he has a number of them. Venom doesn't kill Carnage right off the bat. It takes him a long time to deal with Carnage, and even then he's not able to deal with them fully because Carnage tends to change itself often in the comics. So Venom seems to always be after Carnage. Now, Carnage remains with Cassidy for quite a while in the comics. I mean, he has a number of hosts, but Cassidy's his big one. He's the longest one, too. But, of course, they blew all that off. So, like I said, they don't really follow the resource material. They make shit up and change everything. Also, he doesn't bite Eddie Brock to get the Carnage symbiote. Actually, Eddie Brock is supposed to be in jail. And when he breaks out, he leaves a drop of his blood behind, which Cassidy happens to be a roommate, jail cell roommate, and he gets the drop of blood. And that's how he gets Carnage. So again, they changed all that too. I really don't know anything about the mutant Shriek. This is the first time I've even heard of her. I don't know like in depth of everything about Venom, but I know a few things from the comics. I also know that they're trying to introduce Carnage's first symbiote offspring is probably his most powerful one, which is called Toxic. That's what you see at the end, towards the end, with the cop's eyes glowing. Supposedly they're trying to introduce Toxic as him. I don't know, we'll see. But like I said, they don't follow the comics at all. They've changed everything. It's an okay movie if you don't know anything about the character Venom. If you don't know anything about the character, you know, you'd be okay with this. But the fans of the character, you know, they know this, it's bullshit. So most of the fans are not happy. Now, of course, they have the secret ending at the end after the credits, which of course show that, you know, the universe, multi-universe, it switched on them at the end of at the end credit scene or whatever. So, and they see Tom Holland as Spider-Man on the TV, and they want to go find him. And that's the end. It's an okay movie. It's not bad. It's not horrible, but it's not great either. It's just okay. I give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's alright. It could have been done way, way better. Number two, I will never be satisfied with any of these movies from Marvel and Disney. Their writers suck ass. They're not good writing. They don't know how to tell a good story, especially Disney. Anything to do with Disney. But until they start using the resource material for these Marvel movies, I'm always not going to be happy with them. Just because they change everything. They don't use the actual story. They change everything. Swap characters, swap genders, whatever. It's never the resource material. These dumbass motherfucking writers, they can do better than the original writers who created the character. And they're idiots because they can't. They suck at it. Anyways, that's all I have to say about Venom 2. It's alright, you can check it out if you want to, but I'm telling you now, you're just gonna go, it's okay. Alright, moving on to your B-movie reviews. Alright, Movieholics. This week is Comedy Week.
Big Louis on somebody. Fresh in the game, putting it down. Everybody jump, make the club get crunk. If you want the south side, represent, throw it up. Everybody jump, make the club get crunk. If you want the north side, represent, throw it up. Everybody jump, make the club get crunk. If you on the west side, represent, throw it up. Everybody jump, make the club get crunk. If you on the east side, represent, throw it up.
And I chose a couple older 80s comedies. The first one and the sequel. There's only two of them. And the first one's called The Cannonball Run, which was done in 1984. It starred Burt Reynolds and Dawn DeLuise. The leading lady, of course, was the ever gorgeous Farrah Fawcett. She was huge back in the 70s and the early 80s. The movie did quite well at the box office worldwide. It did about 73 million worldwide, which is pretty good for a comedy back then. Now the story is there's this secretive race called the Cannonball Run, where people will show up with like stock cars and then race across the country for a huge $1 million prize. Now, this is actually based on a true story. There was such a race called the Cannonball Run. I'm not sure if it's still going on or they still do it or not. I have no idea. But I do know it's based on a true story. And there was actually a movie before this one called the Cannonball Run. And it was actually based on true events, which starred John Carradine. He was in that. I seen that too. I think I did a review on it in past videos, if you want to check that out. Anyways, this takes a more fantasy approach to it, and a comical approach. So basically, like I said, you have this race that everybody's trying to race across country in stock cars to win millions of dollars. Now, Bert and Dom come up with a way of trying to find a fast vehicle that will get them across the country pretty fast without getting pulled over by police officers, because it is kind of an illegal race. So they come up with the idea of using an ambulance, which is pretty smart, to get across the country. You have a ton of stars in this too. You got Jackie Chan's in it, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., etc., etc. There's tons of big actors in this movie. Now, all said and done, you have some comical crap going on. A few of the racers kind of mess with each other, trying to get to the finish line. And of course, everyone remembers the two hot chicks in the Lamborghini. It kind of was a signature for the movie. And of course, they're the ones who win the race. Now, Don DeLuise also plays this character where he likes to pretend he's like a superhero, calls himself Captain Chaos, and he kind of ruins. They could have won, but he ruins it at the very end for a cat, saving a cat's life that was drowning or supposedly whatever. And then he also changes to Captain USA as well at the very end. Now you get to see comical outtakes at the end of this movie, which I'm not sure if that had been done before or not, but I'm pretty sure it was one of the first ones to do it, where they had a bunch of outtakes rolling as the credits are going, which was just as funny. You could see that they were all having a good time making the movie. Now, if you're looking for a good solid comedy, it's not overly funny, but it is funny. It has some quite a bit of laughs. It's a funny movie. I highly recommend this movie. 2 thumbs up. Really good for a comedy. Check it out. Then you had the sequel, The Cannonball Run 2, which was done in 1984. Now, of course, you have Bert and Dom back in this. In fact, you have most of the stars from the first film are back in this one, but there are a few that are missing and have been replaced. Now, Shirley MacLaine and Marilyn Henner, they play the 2 nuns that join Bert and Dom in this one. They're the two leading ladies. But you also have the main leading lady, even though she doesn't have a huge part in it. Catherine Bach. She is, you might know her as Daisy from the Dukes of Hazzard. She's one of the hot Lamborghini girls in this. There's another one, Susanna. I can't think of her last name. She's the blonde. They're the two hot Lamborghini girls in this one. Now this movie made about $28 million. It didn't do as well as the first one, but it did okay. In the sequel, you have the guy who is the host on Fantasy Island. He plays the Shriek's father, or the Sheik's father. Sheik's father. The Sheik, of course, is back in this one, and he's disappointed that his son didn't win the race in the first time around. So they decide to make their own Cannonball and put up the money for it, so that the Sheik can win the race and claim that he's the fastest in America. Whatever. Anyways, so they decide to have another race. Now, in the first movie, you have this fight scene with a bunch of bikers towards the end of the movie. In this one, in the sequel, it's a bunch of mobsters. They have another fight scene with all the racers and a bunch of mobsters. But it made no sense because the mobsters all have these guns and not one of them uses them on the racers. Like, they don't shoot anybody. They just, brawl. But anyways, towards the end, they all lose the race again. I'm pretty sure it was the Lamborghini girls who won again. Don't quote me on that. I can't quite remember. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, there's a bunch of outtakes at the end of it. It's another hoorah. It's a funny movie. Maybe not as funny as the first one, but it's still pretty funny. It was a good one-time watch. I highly recommend it. 2 thumbs up for a comedy sequel, honestly. Most sequels aren't really all that good, but every once in a while you'll have a decent one. This one was decent. It's at least for a one-time watch, it's pretty good. Check it out. All right, that's all I have for you this week. If you have anything you would like, any thoughts about what I said earlier in the video, please leave your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'd like to hear from you. If you can think of any movies, cult classic, B movie, or underrated movies you think I may not have ever seen or heard of, please leave your suggestions down in the comment section down below, and I'll get to reviewing them as soon as I can. So until next time, I told you you'd be told the truth, and you just been told.